Let's talk about the Well List section of the main Well Explorer screen. You have a series of columns displaying well header details on the right-hand side of the screen. You can actually click on the column header and have it sort that column in an ascending, you can see the arrowhead is pointing up, or descending manner, the arrowhead is pointing down. Okay, so any of these columns you can click on to force a sort on this list. Because on the left-hand side I have selected all wells, I'm seeing all of the wells that I have security permissions to see listed on the right-hand side. If I right-mouse click on the right-hand side of the screen, I have some options that are specific to this well list. I can force a refresh. I can delete a well. And by delete a well, I mean delete it from this database. You will only have the ability to do this if you have security permissions to do so. It will also warn you, you're about to delete the well. Do you really want to do that? I'm going to cancel out. Another right-click option is to duplicate. So let's imagine that you were setting up some wells. So you're initiating some wells in the head office, and they're very similar. So I would set up my first well with as much data that's common to the others, and then I would duplicate it to save me rekeying in all of the common data again. You can also specify the number of copies. So imagine you're setting up a pad's worth of wells. So let's say you have 10 wells that are very similar. Well, then I might make 9 copies of that well. Another nice feature in here is that you can choose which tables you want to duplicate. So there might be some tables that you want to remove from the equation. Perhaps you've put in contacts in your first well, and those contacts are going to change well to well, so you would remove that from the duplicate scenario. Now I'm going to click on OK, and you'll see what happens is that 9 additional copies of this sample 01 are being created. Because I didn't exclude any tables, all of the records, all of the data is being duplicated 9 additional times. Well, here's a good use of that delete key. Notice that you can single or multi-select in this list. I can use my control key to highlight wells and have gaps, or I could use my shift key to highlight a series of them without gaps. Add to is how I can add wells into the My Wells folder or any subfolders that I might have created. So let's imagine that I want to randomly select a few wells to put into the Test 1 folder. This is how I would do it. And when I click over on Test 1, those are the wells I'm going to see. I also have the option to select all or use a Control-A to do that. And 2 more options here. I can copy this list to clipboard. So imagine that you wanted to share the list of wells that you were actively working on. So perhaps I would highlight my Test 1 group, Control-A to select them all, copy the list to clipboard, and then I can turn around and paste that list into Excel or email or a Word doc. It has taken all of the columns that are displayed in this well list, and it will paste them into the other file. So let me just show you this. I'm going to paste it into an Excel doc, and I will share this Excel file so you can see the results. So here's Excel, and I'm just going to Control-V to paste in those columns. Now, you have another option here, the final one in the list for list properties. This is where you can define which columns are going to be displayed on this main tab. This is a personal setting for you. So when you first launch WellView, you will see it, how your company has predefined it for you, but you can come in and change that. Perhaps I don't want to see the license number, but I do want to see such attributes as spud date and rig release date. Okay, So you have the ability to show any well header field here and to in fact change the order of the columns. Before we leave this dialog, there are some more options in the bottom. You can choose to wrap the words. So if you have some really long well names, for instance, you might want to do that. You can choose to put double click to edit data. Right now, if you double click on a well or wells, it will open the well. You can show a row number. You can select all on a well list change. That is really to replicate a behavior from older versions of WellView, such as WellView 9. And you can also freeze a number of columns so that if you end up scrolling off to the right, you're always going to see that frozen column on the left. Okay, so all of that is available through the right click and the list properties.